Hi, I'm Eve and I use any pronouns.
And I'm Phoenix, I use they, them pronouns.
And this month on Book Club, we are discussing Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries.
Yeah.
Woo!
We're back. We're back again. It feels like it's been a very long time.
It feels it.
I think it probably has been, hasn't it? I think because we recorded last month's episode.
Before last month.
Yeah, so it's been over a month, I think, since we last recorded.
Which, and to be fair, last month's episode was,
It was something.
it was an experience.
It sure was. Yes.
If you like us ranting about books, that might be a good episode to listen to.
And if you
just like,
don't like us ranting about books, why are you listening to this podcast? Because that is
exactly
all it is.
Yeah.
24/7 ranting. Yeah, we're talking Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries, which is one that I'd seen quite a bit.
Same.
And had just been like, I don't know. And then
I was always skeptical because I was just like, is this going to be another Sarah J. Maas book? Or is this going to be actually good?
And
so I was putting it off.
Thankfully, there is no explicit fairy fucking.
Beautiful. Oh, we love it.
Yep.
Thank you.
There is...
Thank you, Heather.
Obviously, spoilers for this book for the rest of this episode. There will be spoilers. Shockingly, in order to talk about this book, we will talk about this book. So there's no fairy fucking. There is fairy romance. But
which I was surprisingly okay with.
It was done quite well. So yeah. We'll get to that, I guess. It's a cozy fantasy, I would say.
I would say, yeah.
And it's like obviously, this is the inevitable comparison, A Natural History of Dragons, except it's fairies rather than dragons. And yeah, it is about the titular Emily Wilde, who is a scholar, a researcher, a studier of fairies, because in this world fairies are just they're just a thing. And she goes to a country, the name of which I'm not going to try and say, because I don't speak Scandinavian languages. But it's basically, it feels like sort of a fantasy Iceland vibe. It's like Scandinavian. And she wants to study the local fae because they've not been studied very much.
Yeah.
And then while she's there, her academic rival / friend with the fantastic name of Wendell Bambleby,
I love it so much,
turns up and he's like, I'm here to help. And she's like, I don't want you to. And he's like, well, tough, because I'm here now.
Tough, we're going to be besties.
And then, there's hijinks ensue, and mysteries, and fairy studying, and all that good shit. I quite enjoyed it, I have to say.
Me too.
I was quite surprised.
Same. I got 100 pages in, then looked up, and then suddenly I was at the end of the book, and I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, I think
it was good.
I think maybe what's been happening is that we've been reading books that we think we're going to enjoy, because we've been like, oh, we like fantasy and sci-fi, and then we keep reading shit books, or not just shit, but not as good books. And then this, I think, is fair to say, is not necessarily, well, certainly for you, it's not the sort of thing you would normally read.
Oh god, no. I'm not a big fae person.
Something like this, like romance stuff, not romantasy, never romantasy.
Oh god, no.
But a little romance every now and then, it works for me. But I did not necessarily think I was going to like this very much. And then I did.
Yeah. It was a really pleasant surprise.
It was.
I was so skeptical. We decided on reading this and I was just like, I'm just not going to enjoy this. I was sure about it. And then suddenly I really did.
Yeah.
It was delightful.
It truly was delightful. I'm very impressed. And I think we'll probably maybe read the sequel at some point.
I would like to.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I barely say that. I'm like, I want to read the sequel to this. This would be a great time.
I do also just want to give a little shout out, because it does have a very pretty cover.
Oh my god, yeah.
I do really like the cover of this book.
Cover hits so hard.
It's lovely.
For a cozy fantasy, this cover is great.
Yes. To be clear,
I love it so much.
We're talking about the sort of white cover, because I know there is like
Yeah.
a like dark blue one, which I don't know if that was the
Not a huge
hardback
fan
or
of
if
that.
that's the US one, I don't know. But it's less pretty. We're talking about the UK paperback, which is lovely. It's got
Yeah.
mushrooms and plants and stuff in a book.
Keys and books and sparkle.
It's very cottagecore.
Oh, absolutely. And yet on the back it says Dark Academia, but it's given cottage.
Whoever called this Dark Academia does not know what Dark Academia is.
It was the author of A Marvelous Light.
Oh, well, that explains a lot then, doesn't it? Have you ever read that book?
I haven't.
Don't.
Okay, I'll take that.
I read it because I was like, oh, sure,
Uh-huh.
it's gay, it's like historical fiction, which isn't normally my thing, but there's magic, and I was like, I'll give it a go. Turns out,
Yeah.
a lot of smut. Way more smut than I was expecting.
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
smut.
I hadn't, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm warning you away from it. You don't read it, it's not worth it.
There's two people I follow on Storygraph who've like read the series and like rave about it. I'm just like, I will not read it now.
I haven't read the other ones, the later books in the series, but I read that one.
Okay.
And I was like, that's enough for me, thank you.
Okay, great.
Just put that to one
the
side.
The cover's so gorgeous, and yet it's porn.
Very pretty books.
Why?
But yeah, surprise smut.
I would just wish they would like put on the cover if there's smut in it.
This is why
because I
books
just
need
don't want to read that.
like a film rating system, you know?
Yeah,
Just
I would
slap
quite
an
like
18
that.
on that baby so that we all know.
exactly. Damn. Oh, okay.
We should probably talk about Cawpile, shouldn't we?
We really should. I'll let you do it because I forget who does it.
So, as ever, to rate this book, we are using the Cawpile book rating system created by Book Roast on YouTube.
Yeah.
You break a book down into 7 different categories, give it a score out of 10 for each of those categories, add them all up, divide by 7, that gives you your overall score. The categories are characters,
Dun, 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 dun.
atmosphere and world building, writing style, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment.
Yeah.
Eve, what was your overall score for this book?
This is my highest of the year so far.
Yep.
I give it an 8.
An 8, which from Eve is like a 12 out of 10.
It's so high. this I think beats Sunbringer.
Yeah.
And that book was so fun.
It's my highest of the year as well so far. And for me it got an 8.6 out of 10.
Oh, we're really close.
We're quite close for once. I'm impressed. Go
What
team.
the hell? Yeah. This hardly ever happens.
We made it.
We did it. We liked it, the thing.
Yeah, good job. Good job, Heather Fawcett, and good job us.
Yeah. I'll pat myself on the back. I deserve it.
Like when you're in like primary school and they're like, you've all done a good job, give yourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah.
We didn't get that very much at Catholic primary school. Don't know about you.
Yeah, no.
Can't have too
No,
much
we
fun.
We can't have fun. Fun is not allowed.
Jesus didn't have fun. Why should you?
No.
Before we launch into our full breakdown, we should talk about our drinks.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, we're so like on it today.
I know. This is great.
I'm sure it won't last.
It's going to go downhill from here now that you've said it.
Yeah, I should have said it. Oh well, too late.
Yeah. Oh, you fucked it.
It's fine, just cut that out and nobody will know.
No one will know.
They'll never know.
You won't know. Anyway, do you want to go first?
Sure,
or-
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I don't know where I've written my thingy, which is interesting. But anyway, so my drink for Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries is a winter's snow martini mocktail, which is 2 ounces of cranberry juice, half an ounce of lemon juice and ice. Shake them all up in a cocktail shaker, pour it into a glass, and then top it off with an ounce of soda, not like Coca-Cola type soda, but like the things that are actually called a soda. The one that I've gone for is a very nice London Essence Co. Orange and fig soda. It's very sharp and very cold. It's very like refreshing, but bitter. I thought it suited the the whole wintry thing that's going on in this book.
That sounds delicious.
It is. It's
Oh my gosh.
It's got a bit of like edge to it. I quite like it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What have you got for us?
I was so happy to find what is the company called? That would be a good Gilded Coach Teas, which does fairy tale inspired beverages. And I tried their Enchanted Slumber tea, which is delicious. It is apple, hibiscus petals, rosehip pieces, lemon peel, strawberry, chamomile, cornflower, raspberry, and Egyptian rosebuds. And of course, it is finally decorated with gold pixie dust, which is just edible glitter.
Very nice.
But it's delicious, and it gave me a shiny, like, my teeth were shiny.
I really need to find some like edible glitter. What do they call it? Luster dust.
Yeah.
You know, so that I can make really pretty mocktails, things. You know.
Oh, absolutely. It's like those. It was just so swirly and shiny. It was enchanting, as they say.
As they say.
But no, as they say. I did have a backup, which was a coffee, but it was too delicious.
One of these days, we will actually have a coffee come from Eve. The irony
one of
being
these
that Eve drinks like copious amounts of coffee.
I have drank. How many coffees have I drank today?
I don't think we want to know.
I've drank 3 coffees so far today. It is
For
1
context, I
o'clock
was
in the
going to say
afternoon.
it's like 1:20, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that far into the day, really.
I've got a backup. I'm drinking and also another coffee. I've got a large coffee with me right now. But
We're 4 episodes into the season and we've not had a coffee yet. I'm very impressed.
I know. I'll get one for next month. It's space themed. I can probably do like
Next month's book
space-themed
even
coffee.
has like cocktail vibes to it, so I'm
Oh, absolutely.
quite looking forward to being able to pull something together for that.
If your cocktail isn't purple,
Oh, don't put that on me.
it better be.
The issue that I'm finding, right, because I don't drink alcohol, right? So most like the occasional cider, but a lot of mocktail recipes, they're just like, oh, just get like non-alcoholic rum, and I'm like, no, where am I meant to find non-alcoholic rum?
Yeah.
Give me things that use alternative things rather than just get a non-alcoholic version of the alcohol that you need. That's boring.
Exactly. Because sometimes you don't, and then the non-alcoholic versions will still taste like alcohol, won't they?
I would assume
Like
so.
a little bit.
I don't.
And sometimes
know.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, we'll see what next month brings.
I'm gonna write down get a coffee.
Get a coffee. No, don't.
And I'll take
don't
that,
write that
and I'll
down,
get
'cause you're
another
gonna-
coffee.
Yeah.
I'll just get another
Go
one.
get coffee number
I'll be like-
5 for the day.
I'll be like, thank you, past Eve. You're so right.
So smart.
I'll go get a coffee.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk
Let's-
about Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's start with characters. I gave characters an 8.
Same.
Snap.
Are we?
Are we?
Oh my God.
Are we
Are we-
besties?
Are we best friends? Oh my gosh. I loved them.
They were solid characters.
We talked. You mentioned like before we started recording, a lot of people just had names
Yes.
and kept walking around, which was like one of my gripes.
This was one of my gripes as well. So we have Emily, right? Main character.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's all from her point of view. Great,
Yeah.
fine. We have Wendell, the love interest,
A darling.
also there. Big part of the story. Great, fine. Then we have a lot of people who have names and are there, but don't really do much, or do things, but they just they don't really like feel like they're like.
We meet a lot of
involved.
people at like, is it the tavern, the local
Yeah.
like in the village, and everyone goes there, and she's constantly there and talks to people and says people's names, and I'm like, who is this?
Yeah, yeah. There were
are they?
There were names like people that I kept getting mixed up for each other, and I was like,
Yeah.
who's that and who's this?
Whomst do you be?
Yeah. That was my sort of issue
Yeah.
with the characters primarily. I will also say, sometimes I did find Emily and Wendell just a smidge grating.
Oh no, I agree. Emily is great. Love her. But she constantly contradicts herself
Yeah.
and keeps putting herself in very dangerous situations. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, she says she's not going to go to the tree next chapter. I am walking to the tree.
To be fair,
Okay.
she goes to the tree because she's been, like, cursed.
Drawn there, and yeah. But
She can't tell Wendell about it, because part of the curse is
Yeah.
that you can't tell other people about the curse.
Mm-hmm. Or, like,
But yeah,
she goes,
yeah.
or she goes to see the changeling child by herself,
Yeah.
even though she knows she shouldn't do that.
She's very headstrong, especially to begin with.
Yes.
And she does eventually mellow out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I liked Wendell.
Yes.
As well.
I also liked Wendell. I had one main complaint with Wendell, which was that he's a man.
I have that thing too, because I wish, lesbians.
This could have been gay.
It could have been, and it would have been beautiful.
Literally ideal for, like, the cottagecore lesbians.
Exactly.
Just have Wendell be, like, a masked lesbian. That would have been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like a masked lesbian fae. Incredible. Would
have Absolutely.
Loved it. But no, he's a man. And this is straight.
He's a man.
Ugh.
Uh-huh.
Not that,
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Man's a bisexual. But also, would have been beautiful. Would have been a beautiful lesbian.
You would make a beautiful lesbian Wendell Bumblebee.
You would make a fantastic lesbian. I love his name. I love his name so much.
His name is fantastic. Do you know... Sorry, this is slightly off topic.
Yeah.
Have we read, like, a properly gay book yet this year?
I don't think so.
Like, I know that kissing is
bisexual.
bi, and let's face it, Elagast is too, because he loves the king guy.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
no, absolutely.
like, there's not a lot of gay shit that happens in that book.
No.
Uh,
Tempest of Tea, there is... how are they all straight? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Are they all straight? I can't remember.
I think
I want to burn that book from my brain.
Yeah. And then,
Thistle and
Sword and
Sword.
Thistle.
Oops.
Sword and Thistle, again, not gay. And
Not
this
gay.
also not gay. So I'm hoping that next month's book has some proper gay in it.
Who have we become?
I know, it's quite disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really letting the side down here.
Oh my gosh. We really are.
Yeah.
But, like, you gave a character a name like Wendell Bumblebee, and you didn't make them gay?
Do you know, I will never get tired of saying Wendell Bumblebee. It's really,
Me neither.
It's really quite fun to say.
I went to my friend's house, and we ended up sitting in my car for a while with, like, getting a bite to eat, and we were reading our books. And I just kept saying the name Wendell Bumblebee over and over again
It's
in the
a
car,
good
and they got
name.
really angry at me. It's a good name. It was very funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
And obviously part of the plot of this book is that Emily initially suspects and then is confirmed that Wendell Bumblebee is in fact a fae prince. And she says that she's, like, kind of suspected this for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then it's confirmed in this that's who he is.
Yeah.
And look, I'm glad that the fae in this book feel like folklore fae. There's, like, specific rules about how they can interact with you and how you interact with them and all that good stuff. But Wendell just kind of felt like a guy. He felt too human.
I would have appreciated if he wasn't a fae and was something else entirely. Or just some guy. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, he just kind of feels like a human with, like, a little bit of magic.
Yeah. He could have been, like, blessed, or he could be part fae or something like that. I don't know. But, like, him he's like a king, right? He's one of the...
He's
the king of, like,
the prince of a kingdom.
Yeah. Who's been, like, cast out.
Yeah.
And, like, that's fine and all. I didn't believe it. Completely.
Yeah, he just didn't feel... And all of the rest of the fae that we see in this book feel like proper folklore fae.
Yeah.
And I really I really enjoyed most of them. But he just kind of feels like a man, but he's got a bit of magic.
Yeah.
And it was just a bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I really did enjoy when near the end of the book, Emily gets taken by the king in the tree, who she's just freed, and he said he's going to marry her. But he's putting it off because Fae don't live in the, like, experience time the same way. And Wendell comes to rescue her, and he shapeshifts and, like, slightly changes himself.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that part of it.
And I like that he was like stuck in that form for a while.
Yeah. There were consequences of him using his own magic, and I really liked that.
I enjoyed it. I think that was good.
Yeah. Having consequences to your magic is great.
Yes.
Her being, like, going to be married off to the Winter King was one of my favourite parts of the book. Even though it's like the end of the book.
Well, but it is a fairly good chunk of the book, though.
It is fairly good.
It's like a full third of the book or something.
To be fair, yeah, because it's like after they deal with the changeling child. So yeah, it must have been like a fair chunk. It's been a bit.
Yeah, it's sort of the last, like, quarter of the book.
Yeah.
Is that she goes and ends up getting married to the Winter King, and then Wendell and assorted villagers have to come and rescue her. And there's a whole thing. Yeah. I did like that he turned into a different type of fae and then got stuck like that.
Yeah, same.
That was fun.
And then he was so angry about it, and then she kept bringing it up to him.
Yeah, she kept being like, oh, you're ugly now. Lol.
Ha, your nose isn't straight as it was before. You liar. That was very funny. Their banter was very funny.
I did like their banter. I did. I also like how, to begin with, because it's all from Emily's point of view, when he first turns up, and actually even before he turns up, I think she mentions him a couple of times, and she talks about how annoying he is and how much she dislikes him and how irritating she finds him. And then when he turns up, we get increasingly more and more sort of drips of backstory that actually they, like, sit and have lunch together all the time because they're both scholars at the same university. And I'm like, I just love that she's like, no, I hate him. I hate him so much. He's really annoying. And then it's like, but they have lunch together. And
you have lunch together.
They're, like,
you have
constantly
conjoining
talking.
offices.
Their offices are, like, across the hall from each other or something. And it's
he constantly watches her.
You're actually, like, kind of best buds.
Yeah.
And it's just that Emily's a bit of a grouch.
Yeah.
Which is very entertaining.
In, like, the first chapter, she's just like, oh, that Bumblebee guy, I hate him. And then she gets a letter saying he's on his way to come meet her with his, like, I was about to say sidekicks, but that's
entourage.
Not right. His entourage.
Yeah. He's got
his
two research students.
That's it.
Who have names.
And, like, at
some point.
I don't know what they are.
No.
Then she tries to, like, she's really pissed off that he's coming, so she tries to burn the letter that he sent her, and it doesn't work. And she's just like, the man's a bloody fae, won't admit it, and now won't let me burn the goddamn letters. What an asshole. And they're actually, like, best buds.
Yeah.
And she's just so angry about them being friends.
Well, as well, it's because, like, he gets all of the attention from, like, the wider scholarly community.
This is very true.
Man, right? And, like, he gets to do conferences and present his papers, even though, like, there was a whole scandal with one of his papers being mostly faked.
Yeah.
And so she is understandably quite upset that, like, he gets all of that and she has been doing the work properly and does not get the attention. Yeah. But at the same time, she's like, yeah, he's really annoying, but actually we're kind of friends.
We're kind of friends. We're
and I think that's a really fun, like, start to their relationship in this book.
Exactly. And then they do end up doing more academic work together, which I was very happy about. And he's like, yeah, this is your work, but I will help you. And it's also like, oh my god.
Because she is in the process of writing a book.
Yes, which is
an Encyclopaedia of Faeries.
Encyclopaedia of Faeries. And this book is that book. And there's so many footnotes. I loved the footnotes.
Yes,
but
we'll talk about the footnotes. But yes, she's writing a book.
They're so fun.
He reads through it for her. And, like, checks on it and stuff, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. It's also like, why am I in your Encyclopaedia of Faeries, Emily? Why am I in here?
Well, because this is like her journals, right?
Yeah.
That she is writing while she's on this.
Yeah.
On this trip.
And everything's dated and it's got locations, and I really loved when the dates stopped appearing.
Yes.
It was like,
well, she's in
so cool.
the
Fae.
Winter King's palace and doesn't have a sense of time. There's like dates with question marks beside them, and she's like, I don't actually know if that's the day.
Yeah. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk atmosphere and world building.
Atmosphere and world building.
Yes.
Yes. I gave it a 10.
Oh, I gave it an 8 again.
Oh!
Oh no, this means you've given something a really low score later on.
Maybe.
I thought the world building was cool.
I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. I liked the idea of there being different fae in different parts of the world. And like them having different rules and different types of fae and all that sort of stuff. I think that was cool.
I really liked the connections between characters, but also like specific places. They all felt very like cozy. The townspeople actually felt like they all actually knew each other, which felt fantastic. Especially is it Odd, which is the town's Gothi, basically like the head woman of the town. I really liked the kind of oh gosh, what is it called? Like town traditions and everything and all that, and that was very well put together.
Yep.
I loved that it was always snowing. It was very atmospheric.
Yes. Because when she first arrives, it's not winter yet, and she's like, "But it's snowing," and the villagers are like, "Trust me, you will know when it is winter."
And it slowly gets colder, and she's constantly bundled up in tons of furs. Her dog Shadow is on top of her sometimes, just like for body heat.
I love Shadow.
The bestest boy. The bestest boy.
I love him so much, and I love that throughout the book, she sort of drops the occasional hint about like nobody can know what Shadow really is, and then at the end, or not the end, but further in, it's revealed that he is like a fae hound. Yeah. And I'm like, of course she would just have like this fae hound who is her friend.
Exactly.
And just
there's
helps
a theme
her.
with her besties.
That was very sweet, and I love that Wendell does not know.
Yeah.
Right, and I think Emily loves that Wendell does not know, right? Like, that is sort of a point of pride for her, that he did not realise that she had this fey dog with her the whole time.
She's just like, this is my baby girl, okay, but Wendell, and he doesn't know. It's very funny.
Yeah, it's good. It is.
Another character I also loved was Poe, the little forest fae that was in the forest that we met really early on. And I loved I know this is kind of back to characters, but semi-atmosphere world building. But her doing little tasks for him to get him to like give her information. This is very sweet.
This is one of the things that I really loved in this book, is that it's very clear about the rules that govern humans interacting with fae, and how important it is to say the right thing and do the right thing and all that sort of stuff. I think that's the sort of like fae folklore that I find really fascinating. Same. Is the like what you can and cannot say around them. Yeah. And where you can and cannot look and all this sort of stuff. And how you have to be really careful to follow the rules exactly, because if you slip up, that's it, you know? Yeah. And I liked that Poe was like a sort of like microcosm of that, of like she has to do little things for him, and then you know, he helps her, but only because they have a deal, right? Like, it's not like he's willing to help just because. He helps because they have like an arrangement, and that feels very fae. I liked that.
Exactly. It was really fun to watch because it's like the first fae that she meets in this place. It's also like she's also showing her knowledge, which is great. She was immediately like, this is how this works. I am going to do this. This will work. And it did.
I love that she knows her stuff right from the start. Yeah. At no point in this book is she like stupid about what to do. Right? She makes stupid decisions because everybody does. Yeah. but she knows what to do in all of these situations, and I really appreciate that it's very clear that she is like an expert in this field. I'm glad that the author doesn't like have her like make mistakes about the rules of the Fae and stuff. I'm glad that the author is very clearly like, no, Emily knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Emily understands. She's done this before.
Yeah, like this is not her
great to
first
see that.
expedition,
Yeah.
you know? Like, she is already a very experienced scholar and researcher, and
Exactly.
has spent time with Fae in different countries and all that, and I think that really comes through, and I appreciate that we're not just told that and then like shown things that seem to contradict it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She handles it all quite well. And I loved Poe and his character, because he doesn't really go anywhere. He's not like a huge thing, but like I love that he gets a little fairy wife who's so mean, and I loved her. And she knows her stuff, and then he was there to help her even though he didn't have to anymore, and it was just very sweet, and she made tons of connections with everyone, and I really loved it.
Yeah. I think it does a really good job of feeling cozy.
Yeah.
They're
constantly in that wee cabin. Delightful.
I like as well how...
especially...
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No. I especially loved when the two helpers left, because it was just like the people that ran the little hut she was staying in were like, oh yeah, they left, by the way.
Yeah.
They've gone.
They have left the country.
They have like gone on a little rowing boat and just like gone. And they're like,
and then we
no.
never hear what happened to them.
Exactly. They're probably dead.
They might be dead, yeah.
It was winter.
Yeah.
It's not going to end well. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed as
they're
well
probably
how
dead.
when she first turns up, and like, well, it's just her. She doesn't do anything to make the cottage like homely or anything.
Yeah.
She's just living in it. And then as soon as Wendell turns up, he's like, I'm going to make this place nice, and keeps adding little homey touches around the place and makes it very
trinkets
cozy.
And blankets.
Yeah, I love that.
Wasn't there a whole thing about him adding curtains up or something like
I
that?
think so, yeah. It's brilliant.
That was very fun.
The only issue I had with the world building-y stuff is that at times the Fae didn't actually feel as dangerous as we are told they are.
I agree.
And there are times where the Fae are plenty dangerous, but it kind of feels like... So, for example, at one point, there's this young woman from the village who Wendell keeps flirting with, not realising that she's gay. And her girlfriend get taken by Fae and get taken to this winter fair sort of thing of Fae. And Emily is able to go in and rescue them because she has Shadow with her, who he can navigate her between the mortal realm and the Fae realm, right? So he takes her in, and we're told it's like, oh, it's really dangerous for her to be in there, but she doesn't feel like she's under threat at any point because she just knows how to get out of it, and that's fine. But she does just get out of it, and even when she's taken by the Winter King, it's like you know. She's gonna be fine. Yeah. And I don't feel like published. The threat. I don't feel like the threat was quite right, considering how often we're told that Fae are really dangerous.
I agree, and you've brought up points I was going to bring up in plot. But I heartedly agree, because they really didn't feel too much of a big threat. Like, the Winter King himself didn't feel too imposing. Like, sure, she was kind of she couldn't figure out where she was. She was losing track of time, but it's like, I know she's going to make it out of this completely okay.
It kind of felt like the threat was more her not knowing when she was, or you know, her not being able to grasp her full sort of senses and everything. It felt like that was more of a threat than any of the actual Fae.
Yeah.
The threat was that she wasn't entirely herself. And I'm like, this is supposed to be the Winter King is he's this ancient Fae King, right? You know, like he's got like myths and legends about him, about how terrible he was and all this sort of stuff. It's like a whole thing. There's like folklore about him and about how dangerous it would be if he ever got back, and then he gets back and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
it did feel a bit like, inconsistent.
Like using all the like included little short stories about his past, and like wasn't there a mother who like killed her own child or something?
Yeah, something
and then
like that.
to go and like try and free him, and then she ends up dead herself. It was all very dark, the little short stories, and then suddenly really he was there and he wasn't. Yeah, those were very cute. I really liked them a lot. The mythology was really sound, and yet once again, it wasn't a huge threat. I think we've slowly slid into writing style.
I think we kind of have, yes.
I think we have, yeah.
I gave writing style a 9.
I gave it a 7.
I think the writing style was good.
I liked it a lot.
Loved the footnotes. I think the footnotes are an excellent addition.
Delightful.
You know, I love a good footnote. I love a well done footnote. You know,
exactly.
It just I think it really helps flesh out both who Emily is as a person and what the world is like, because you have these little keep in mind, this is her journal, right? She is writing in her journal, and she is writing footnotes in her own journal,
which is really funny.
It is, and I think it really just shows how much of like an academic she is, you know. Because
like she's a proper academic. She's from Cambridge. This is
her job. This is her life.
She's annotating her own thoughts, being like, yeah, I said this because of this reason, and this means this. And it's very interesting, because you get a lot of both world building, backstory to characters, and kind of like just fate overall, like lore from these footnotes, and I think they're a great inclusion. I loved them. Yeah,
I think it's a great thing, and I wish more books had footnotes. Because
same.
They're brilliant. This is one of the reasons that I love Terry Pratchett, right?
Yes.
The Discworld books full of footnotes. They're just constantly like Terry Pratchett's little footnotes to himself where he's being funny, and it's hilarious. And I think they worked really well in this book.
That just made me think of, in Going Postal, Terry Pratchett literally writes, I think, like, this guy's really dumb in one of the footnotes. And I was like, this is beautiful, thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
But I completely agree. I also, as we just said, really liked the little short stories that she put in there. Adorable. I just personally, it's all from Emily's point of view. I would have sometimes it's from Wendell, because Wendell does fill in a couple chapters or here when she's gone.
There is a brilliant moment where it is like Wendell fills in a chapter. And it's like, he's basically like, I hope she'll forgive me for writing in her journal, and I'm trying not to look at all of her other entries. And it's so, it's really funny.
Man has definitely read to the whole thing, and he's just like, I totally haven't read these, Emily. She knows. And I really love it. I just wish we got more of his chapters. I would have really enjoyed it. Because his chapters were some of my favorites, because it was just him being a little guy. And just including his thoughts in the journal. It was very, very fun. But sometimes Emily's opinions annoyed me. And that's just personally, like, I was just like, please, Emily, just make a good decision. Please. Anything. But, yeah.
Yeah. I think the writing style was solid. I thought it was really good.
I liked it too.
That's about all I have to say about writing style.
Me too.
I loved the footnotes. I loved the inclusion of, like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna write down these like 3 or 4 stories that people have told me about local folklore, because I think they should be documented. And I'm like, yes, I love this.
Yes, they should.
This is fantastic.
Heck yeah. Perfect, Emily. Yes.
Good job.
Pat on the back for Emily Wilde. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Gold star. Plot.
I gave plot a 7.
I give it a 6.
I think that plot was the weakest aspect of this book.
Same. As in, there wasn't much.
Yeah,
I
think that's the problem.
Plot?
Yeah. What was the plot? Like, the plot of this book is that Emily's there to write her book about Fae, and she's studying the local fae.
Yeah.
And then for a while the plot is about who Wendell is. And then for a while the plot is about saving the lesbians. And then for a while the plot is about who Wendell is again. And then it's back to the Winter King and Emily getting kidnapped. And it just it doesn't feel like there's like much of a consistent like through plot beyond just like she's here for 6 months sort of thing.
It's all a bit, it just felt disconjointed in sections, because like it didn't have like a good natural flow between each aspect. Yeah, some of these like individual bits impacted each other, and it really showed how Emily like bonded with the townspeople and stuff, especially when like dealing with like the changeling child, who by the way she just tortures.
Yes,
in that one bit,
yes,
she literally tortures a child.
But then, to be fair, the changeling in question is torturing the human parents that it's been put with.
This is very true.
It's not like this is like an innocent child.
Yeah,
this thing is deliberately causing harm. And it's like, haha, I'm fucking with them and I know it, and it's really fun for me to make them suffer. And Emily's like, oh, you want to see what suffering's like, bitch?
Cracks knuckles.
It's fantastic.
It's beautiful. I was like, oh my god, slay. But also, suddenly the torture came out of nowhere, and I was not completely opposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt, as we just said, the ever like imposing threat in quotation marks of the Winter King was just not there for most of it. It didn't feel until his section came up he was like a main thing.
Yeah. It's like we get like snippets of it, but it doesn't feel like a through line in the same way. It doesn't feel like there's like a consistent thing.
Yeah.
I think what might have helped is if we didn't keep skipping over them studying things. Like we keep, like, she keeps writing in her journal like, oh, it's been 2 weeks. I've been looking at fae and out in the wild exploring and learning things. And I'm like, well, then put that in the book.
Then tell us. Tell us what they are.
Come on.
I want more Poe and you and Poe's adventures. I loved him.
Yeah.
I just wanted her little conversations with like fae or like other stuff. It would be great. Tell us more. And not just be like, I've been out gallivanting. Cool. Take us gallivanting. I would be okay with another 100 pages of Jude just going around the place.
Yeah. I think that might have helped. Because instead what we get is like something happens and they resolve it. And then Emily's like, and then we spent a few weeks researching. And then another thing happens. And I'm like, show me more of that few weeks researching.
Exactly.
Just tie things together a bit more instead of having like disjointed little things. It like, almost comes across as like a collection of short stories in a weird way.
It does, yeah.
And I think it makes the plot feel weak. And that's a shame.
This is why when there's like, in a fantasy books, there's like an inclusion of a magical school. If they don't go to class, what is the point? Take us with you. Yeah. We want to see you learning.
I think it is.
We loved it.
It is that.
Yeah. I love magical class. It's so fun. I like learning. I love it.
I liked the concept of it though, right? Like, much like with Natural History of Dragons, I like the idea of just like, this is a book where somebody goes and studies things.
Yeah.
I just think that the plot sort of falls by the wayside a bit too much.
I very much agree.
I think this is a problem that keeps happening with cozy fantasy, where people are like, it's cozy fantasy, there doesn't need to be plot. And I'm like, no.
Yes, there does. There needs to be plot.
There still needs to be plot. It just needs to not be like really high stakes, intense plot.
Give me like some threat, but not like end of the world structure. It doesn't need to be there. But I would still kind of like some threat.
Yes. Yeah. I just, it's a shame, but...
Yeah. I think as well as because the genre is still kind of developing. You can kind of see it. Like, they were playing around with the threat levels quite a bit in the book.
Yeah.
So you can tell it's still good. But once again, bigger threat. I would love.
Yeah,
I would like the King to kill a man.
Make there be a clear plot line throughout the book.
Yeah.
And if you want that to be the Winter King, then make him feel like he's actually threatening instead of just telling us that he's a really dangerous fae. And then he's not.
I don't want to say, like, missionaries. What's the word I'm looking for? Spies or something for the Winter
King. Just the idea of you getting missionaries and spies confused is very entertaining to me.
It's because, yeah. Just like little fays knocking on the door and being like, "Hi, have you heard the
good news of the Winter King?
Have you heard his word?
He'll bring you snow, whether you want it or not."
Exactly. Have some gale winds.
Anyway,
oh God.
Anything else for plot?
Not really.
I think we've covered.
We've kind of covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, intrigue.
8.
9.
It was good.
Yeah.
I read it very quickly.
Yep.
Because I loved Emily and her writing style, even though sometimes she irked me. Mm-hmm. I loved it all. Mm-hmm. I loved learning. Mm-hmm. It was a great time.
Yep.
There was just a few places, with the threat levels and stuff, but still pretty good.
I think as well the start was slightly too slow.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get into it. Once I was into it, I read it quite quick. But the first little bit took me a while.
Mm-hmm. Until, Wendell showed up. It was, kind of slow going.
There's just, a couple of chapters where she's just sort of about and not much is happening.
She's a bit of a recluse. A bit of a loner. And she doesn't like to leave the house or, talk to people. So it was kind of that thing, so we kind of needed Wendell a bit earlier, maybe.
I would say...
because he's more outgoing.
Even just until... until the research students leave, it's quite slow. But the first 50 pages where it is just Emily is particularly slow-paced, and that took me a while to get through. But then once I was through that, it was clear sailing from then on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Logic.
Logic, yeah. I gave Logic a 10.
I gave Logic a 9. Again, no big plot holes, but the inconsistent danger thing for me has caused it to lose a point for Logic.
I just loved all of the little face stories and all of the mythology that we got. It was very fun. I liked the footnotes and the learning. Mm-hmm. I was having a great time. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing I was mad about.
Yeah. Like I say, I really like that we got established rules of the Fae.
Yeah.
And I like the whole thing that Emily has about how you can feel the thread of the story. Mm-hmm. So Wendell, for example, right? He was one of multiple kids. And I think it's they get a stepmother or something.
Yeah.
Who kills off all of the previous queen's kids because she wants to be she wants her kids to ascend the throne. But because of the rules of storytelling, which seem to really constrict the Fae, she is she kind of has to leave Wendell alive. The reason that Wendell survives is because there has to be a chance for the story to turn.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that kind of comes up a few times of when she's trying to escape from the Winter King, Wendell and the villagers have this whole plan, and Emily seems to sort of betray the plan because she's I can feel that this isn't how the story works. This isn't going to work because the rules of storytelling mean that I need to do something different. The story needs to flow for me to be able to get out of this situation. And I think that was really cool. I love the idea that the Fae are so bound by storytelling. There has to be one heir surviving so there's a chance. And it doesn't mean that he will definitely go back and reclaim his throne.
Yeah, but he could do whatever he wants.
I like the idea that the stepmother, the queen, can't kill him because there has to be the chance for him to usurp her. I love that. I love that sort of idea. I think it's really really fun.
They were very much bound by their own rules, and you can really tell. And it was very fun to watch and read. It was very cool.
And I think it makes for a really fascinating sort of magic system. or like magical world system to very clearly set rules and actually stick to them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like there's any point where rules seem to contradict each other, or where they kind of act outside of the rules that seem to govern it. And I think that's really good, because we have read a few books where it's like, here's the rules of magic, but actually this, and I like that this didn't do that.
Nay, let me just do this other cool magic.
Yeah.
No, it actually stuck to the rules, which was really cool, and actually felt kind of fun.
Yeah. And I also
yeah.
really appreciate that these are proper fae.
Yeah.
They're not
Oh my god,
sparkly,
yes.
sexy
Thank
men.
you.
Well, Wendell is, but...
Wendell's a sexy man, but
I like that they
he was ugly in that one bit, and I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
him.
like that there's different types of fae, and that they're proper fae, they're mischievous. They're not, like, evil, you know? Because that's kind of the whole thing. They're not evil.
They're not evil.
It's just that there's, like, you know, you've got to, like, work in the right way with them, and...
Yeah,
and
it was very much like developing of the fae culture, and that was very beautiful.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
And they weren't just sexy men.
Yeah. Shout out to that.
Yeah. To have interesting fae, you don't have to make them sexy.
You hear that,
You know?
Sarah J. Maas?
Please stop.
Stop.
Just stop. I don't want to anymore.
Go be a Zionist somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoyment.
7.
Oh, I gave it a 10.
Oh!
Well, this is where it really diverges then, I guess.
See, it was a good time. I liked it. It was just kind of like, I wanted... Okay. The romance, I feel, came a little bit came out of nowhere, and suddenly they were together. But I was like, these could be best friends. Wait a minute, he's proposing.
I hate to say it like this, but I feel like that might be the Aero Ace in you coming out.
Yeah,
because
just a
for
little
me,
bit.
it was very clearly signposted.
Okay, great.
I feel like
I enjoyed them together.
building up to that.
I did like them. But I just felt suddenly it was like they're together. Woo, get married. I'm like, no, okay, calm down.
I think it's also partially like
Me,
when
personal preference.
Partially Wendell, right? Because he is a fae prince. This is how courtship goes, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what he's used to. Is you flirt for a bit, I guess, and then you propose because that's what you do. And Emily's like, not so much how the humans do it, actually.
Yeah.
Like you're allowed to date.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I see what you mean, but
yeah. It was the quick romance, the little bit of the slow plot at the beginning, and there was a couple of things that irked me throughout, which we've talked about. But I did still really, really enjoy this book. This was a great time.
Yeah. I'm really glad that we
so
finally
much.
read one that we're both like, this was good.
This was actually really good.
Fourth time lucky, I guess.
Right? And neither of us thought we would like it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Which is like the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's talk
Go us.
recommendations.
Yeah.
I think there's a very obvious one here that we've probably both got.
Yeah.
A
Natural History of Dragons.
By Marie Brennan.
Yep.
It's this, but with dragons.
Exactly.
Sort of.
So, what's not to like? And there's a good romance in there. I liked it's a bit slow, but it's fun. We have an episode about it, so you can also...
Yeah, there's a whole podcast just about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it must have been good because you binge read them.
I did,
very quickly.
I did read all of them. I liked most of them.
Wasn't there like
I feel
a graph?
like the first book and the fifth book were the worst.
Oh god.
The third book 3 is peak. That's where it gets the best. And books 2 and 4 are like okay. But books, I say okay. I think I still gave them like all of them were over 4 stars. But it is a bell curve. Those books. Book 3 is the best, and then it goes downhill again.
Yeah.
But yes, they're good books.
They're great.
And it's the same sort of vibe, right? Of like academic. She's studying dragons.
Footnotes.
I don't think there's footnotes.
Is there not footnotes?
No, she's just snarky.
Oh, dope. Okay. Oh wait, no. Isn't there like notes from her like future self?
Maybe, but I think she just writes them in there.
That's true. That's fair enough.
Because they are so this is obviously Emily Wilde's journal, whereas Natural History of Dragons are, it's very deliberately presented as
a memoir.
Like, the character writing her own memoirs.
Yeah.
So she's just sort of snarky about herself.
Yeah. She's like, I was young and dumb, don't judge me.
Yeah. Especially in book one, because in book one, the, like, her that she's writing about is, like, 19 for most of it or something. So it's very, like, yeah, I know better now, but back then I made a lot of stupid choices. And
there is great illustrations in the book.
There are some lovely illustrations. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Also great covers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love a dragon. Love them.
Yeah. Okay. What's your next one?
My next one is the book I'm actually currently reading. If you like rules, you'll really like this. So, Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett is a really fun book in the city of Tavern, something like that. And it follows a kind of smuggler, assassin-y type person who is just looking for lucrative jobs. And she's hopping around this one part of the city that does not have any, like, how do you put it? Like, doesn't have any police, basically. So it's like gone to shit. There is murder and mugs everywhere. It's quite great. But they use a glyph magic system that they stole from previous, like, godlike beings, which are all dead now, which are really fun. And then she finds this is not really a spoiler, it's literally in the blurb. She finds a magical item that she can communicate with. That is, like, glyphed to be able to do a certain thing. And everyone wants it. So she has to, like, band together with people she doesn't like, doesn't want to be around, to basically, it's basically a big heist to try and get into, figure out what this item is, and this whole new glyph magic system that they've found. And it's very, very fun. It's murderous. It's got a lot of conspiracy theories. It is very, very fun. And everyone betrays one another, and it's great. Trust no one, because no one's trustworthy.
Yeah. That is on my TBR.
It's so good.
At some point. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. That's promising.
I am 50 pages from the end. If I don't finish it today, I'm gonna. It's so good.
My next one, sort of a bit of a pull. But Babel by R.F. Kuang.
Okay.
Very different in most ways, but if you like the academic stuff,
yes,
Babel. It is all about languages, about translating, and translation being able to do magic.
Yeah.
I don't want to. It's kind of hard to talk about without spoiling it, but it's all very much about, like, empire and colonialism and imperialism and racism. It's very
hard
good
hitting
book.
Yeah,
it's like a truck. Also feels very relevant to things that are going on in the world
currently
right now.
Extremely.
So if you somehow haven't read Babel, it's a very different vibe to this book. But if you want more academic stuff, that's what Babel is all about. It is about, like, the elitism and colonialism and how that ties in with academia.
And it's all about, like, language translation as well, which really helps because R.F. Kuang has a degree in language translation.
Yeah, it's like her whole
thing. So it's so really fun to, like, read her doing all this. It's, like, great. It was so good.
What's your last one?
My last one. I had another one, but I'm gonna switch it.
Hit me with two.
Okay, great. Because I was like, Natural History of Dragons we'll both have, so I'll just have like four. Is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. It is a would-be assassin going to assassin school with her.
Sorry, just the idea of assassin school is incredible.
I know. It is a book that is written in the future by someone with these events had already happened. And it's not the main character writing it, it's someone else enjoying the story, and you find out who the writer is in the third book. It changed multiple times, which is very fun.
Yeah,
but it's got loads of...
What's that show? Gossip Girl.
Yeah, kind of.
I've never watched, but I know that there's a whole thing about who Gossip Girl is.
Yeah, except it's an assassin.
Yeah, Gossip Assassin.
And they're trying to... Well, once... Foremost, they're trying to become like an elite assassin. They have to get through the school without dying, because every class causes like someone's going to die pretty much every turn of the page. And they also have a kind of like magical shadow cat that follows them around, and it's filled with footnotes. They're adorable, they are snarky, and they're so mean. They're so mean. Cat. They're so great. I love them so much. There's a wolf in the second one, who's a baby, and then the third one, I think there's a sparrow or something. Not a crow, which I was so angry about because they're all shadows, and yet there was no crow. Where is it? Jay,
you were describing the wolf as a baby there, right? But I thought what you said is there's a wolf and then there's a baby. And like a baby that follows them around, because that's less fun.
Yeah, they just crawl after Mia Corvair, like,
feels
come
very
here.
Horror movie, like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A little baby murderer who goes to assassin's school.
Baby assassin. Who needs boss baby?
Oh god. Will Farrell follows Mia Corvair around. He was a baby assassin in that one movie. Will Farrell.
Uh-huh.
Boss baby. Am I getting the movie wrong?
Yeah. I've never actually seen Boss Baby.
Neither have I, and I refuse to watch it because it looks absurd. But I just like the idea that Will Ferrell as a baby. But that was my other one. My last one, technically, is Frontier. By
Grace Curtis?
That's it.
Oh! Normally I recommend Frontier by Grace Curtis.
I know, but it's suddenly me, because guess what? I read it and I liked it. I liked it a lot. As in, it was the 3 stars. And I think you told me off for giving it 3 stars. I think we talked about it.
I didn't tell you off. I made very clear that, does not make sense to me, because you were telling me how much you loved it. But
yeah.
If your stars make sense to you, I suppose that's what matters.
Because there was things I would improve upon, so I gave it 3 stars. A person lands on a desolate planet that kind of doesn't really completely believe in technology anymore, or doesn't really use it anymore. And they're kind of like little short stories as each chapter, as they try and find a person that was also on the ship with them, and they can't find them. So it's them trying to reconnect, and it's quite beautiful. I really liked it.
Yeah.
If you've listened to the podcast, you'll have heard it before.
Yep. I talk about it all the time.
It's a good book.
Because it was one of my favourite books last year that I read.
Heck yeah. It was damn good.
Yeah. Also, you've made me think of another one, so now I'm going to do too.
Oh, please, go ahead. Feel free.
So firstly, the one that I'd actually written down is the Tiffany Aching books by Terry Pratchett, which is We Free Men, Hatful of Sky, Wintersmith, and Shepherd's Crown. I think there's just the 4 of them.
I think so.
Which, like, Terry Pratchett is brilliant, obviously. But the Tiffany Aching books in particular are quite focused on the Fae of Discworld. And they're brilliant. Tiffany is a young witch in training. And in the first book, she goes to fight a Fae Queen with a frying pan.
And it's quite beautiful.
To rescue her younger brother. And if that doesn't entice you... Oh, and she also has a horde of tiny Scottish men.
I love a horde of tiny Scottish men.
If that's not enough to get you interested, then I don't know what will be.
Exactly. Terry Pratchett's always a good shout. That's actually
Terry Pratchett
such a good...
is never a bad idea.
Exactly.
I love Terry Pratchett so much. His work is so fantastic.
It's so cozy. And yet so dramatic.
Yes. GNU, Sir Terry Pratchett. Be careful, by the way, reading The Shepherd's Crown, because it is the last one that came out. It came out just after his death, and it is all about people dying.
Oh.
It hits. It really, really does.
Oh.
So you got to be careful with that one
Yeah.
because it will make you cry.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the other one that I've just thought of is actually a book that I very recently just finished called Daughter of Redwinter
Yeah.
by Ed MacDonald, which is like dark fantasy sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's set in what isn't explicitly but is very much feels like a fantasy Scotland
Oh, hell yeah.
sort of thing. And it is all about the main character Rain, who is she at the start of the book, her and her creepy boyfriend, who we do not like, who is like 30 something, creepy man. I was very worried because I started reading the book and I was like, wait, did you just tell me that your boyfriend's like nearly twice your age? I'm not sure I'm okay with this. But then it's okay because bad things happen to him.
Yay.
So it's all good. I was like, please tell me this is not another fantasy book glorifying creepy age gaps, but it's not, so it's fine. And Rain is very much like, that was creepy, why was I in that relationship? But anyway, she rescues this woman who then sort of turns out to be slightly corrupted, and it starts a whole thing, and Rain ends up getting taken to this place called Redwinter, which is described as a fortress monastery for a group of people with a name I'm not going to try and pronounce because I don't know how to say it, but basically they're like warrior mages.
Yeah.
And then she wants to go and learn to be one of them. And it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's got sort of a bit of a magic school vibe, kind of, but not really.
Fuck yeah.
It's really good. I think you particularly will quite enjoy it, Eve.
Oh, hell yeah. I will.
I was reading it. I was like, I think Eve would like this. It's quite good.
I was like, slowly, I kept staring at it on Storygraph because I saw you were reading and I was like, oh,
the cover's
good.
Quite pretty as well.
It
the
is.
UK cover with her on the cover with her bow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
quite
really
like
into it.
And it's the first book in a series. Yeah. So yeah, I can recommend that one as
Heck
well.
Yeah.
It's only very vaguely tangentially connected to Emily Wilde, but that's fine.
Still. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Good. Okay. I think that's all of the stuff for this book.
Yeah.
Thing number 1 is Talking in the Tavern will return next month.
Dun, dun, dun,
In a
dun, dun,
couple
dun,
of
dun.
weeks after this episode goes up, there will be a Talking in the Tavern.
Woo!
But we're going to talk about gay books because it's June.
Yeah.
Or
And
it will be June. It's not June yet.
yeah, I'm slightly ashamed we've not read a queer book. Or like
Yeah, we've
heavily
not read
queer
like
book.
a proper gay one yet this year. But I think our next one probably is.
I think so. I have hope. Yeah. Which our next month book club book is Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis.
By Grace Curtis.
Oh my gosh.
Author of Frontier by Grace Curtis.
No way!
I know. Shocking. I now cannot say Frontier without saying Frontier by Grace Curtis.
Yeah.
Because I've recommended it on this podcast so many times. Floating Hotel, which is like a mystery set in space.
Yeah.
On a floating hotel. It's been described as the Grand Budapest Hotel, but in space.
Which really, I loved the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yep. It's also been described as perfect for fans of Becky Chambers, so...
It's literally perfect for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I say that.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we will be reading that for June.
We're super excited.
It also has a cocktail on the cover, like floating in space. So
Even better.
Yep.
Even better.
So yes, next month you have 2 whole episodes of us to look forward to.
You're so welcome.
You're so lucky. You're such lucky people.
You're so lucky.
Us talking about gay books, and then us talking about what is hopefully a gay book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there was any other like announcement-y things, was there?
I think that was it, honestly.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
Let's go. We're so good at this.
We are so good at this. Oh. Once again, patting ourselves on the back for a cracker episode.
Go team! Go
team!
Round of applause for everybody.
I'll edit in like a round of applause there.
Thank you. I was clapping, but it was you know.
Or I'll leave dead silence.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
or I'll stop the episode, you know,
Yeah.
generally. Yeah. Thank you for joining us here at the Tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
They can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, or Instagram, all under Beans and Fungi. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube.
And of course, make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Twitter at Hearth and Tome, and TikTok at hearth.and.tome to keep up to date with all the goings on here at the Tavern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we'll see you in a couple of weeks for Talking in the Tavern.
see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.